Got to Go Bold, Season 2 of the FC Wonderkid Podcast, here with my great friend, Pedro. How are you feeling?
Hi, Alex. It's a great pleasure to be back here with you again and to be able to talk to our amazing community, to your amazing community. And yeah, excited for Season 2, mate.
The FC Wonderkid community, you guys go bold. This is going to be a weekly podcast with many guests. Episode 2, confirmed guest, and a bold one, people. So comment down below, who would you want to see here in the FC Wonderkid podcast as in a weekly basis, out every Sunday at 8 o'clock. This is something new for the followers because, yes, it's Sunday. Sunday's the best time you can listen to a podcast and just be enjoying in bed, doing your thing.
And watch some ball at the same time, just like we're doing now, man.
Exactly. We're watching Chelsea in real time. It's going to go to halftime. We wanted to watch that first half in which Cole Palmer keeps doing what he does best.
He's
unbelievable.
He's the man.
But yes, in every single podcast this week, we're going to have a question. One question that is... Will Cristiano Ronaldo score 1,000 goals in his career? What are you thinking, Pedro?
Well, Alex, I don't think the question is will he, is when will he? Because we all know Cristiano. He will not stop until he reaches that mark. He wants to be special in his own way. He wants to beat records on and off the pitch. And I think on the pitch, there's only one record for him to beat. And that's the one. And that's what he's aiming for. For now, standing by on the World Cup. His mindset until the World Cup, I believe, is to score 1,000 goals, get to the World Cup, play his part in the Portuguese national team.
He will go to the World Cup
for sure,
for
Alex. I truly believe it, and I think it's his goal is to go to the World Cup, win it, and hang his boots. Oof. I think that would be poetical.
Man, if we win the World Cup, like we've never, Portugal has never won a World Cup, Pedro, and
true.
You believe that will happen with Cristiano Ronaldo in his final World Cup?
Alex, I think. We should have done it in 2006. We definitely had the squad to do it. We had the likes of Cristiano, Figo, even Deco. Man, we had an amazing squad. We reached the semis. It unfortunately wasn't enough.
Look, but I believe we're going to be contenders in the 2026 World Cup.
For sure,
Rafael Leão, a better player. João Neves, a better player. Giovanni Kenda, and who knows, Rodrigo Mora. So the question is for you guys too. Will Cristiano Ronaldo score 1,000 goals? I personally believe he will. 70 goals in the Saudi Pro League, 17 penalties, 17 he scored. People often judge him because of the penalty he missed for Portugal in the Euros. I won't, because when the time comes, often more yes than no, he is clinical. So yes, people, let us know your thoughts.
He delivers, but we can also talk about pressure. I mean, maybe he doesn't have that much pressure in the Saudi League. That's why he can take all the penalties. I mean, it's a debatable question, of course. I feel that if my team had a penalty in the Champions League final on the 90th minute, Cristiano Ronaldo would be the one who had to step up. I think there's no question about it.
I agree. There's no player in the history of football that I would pick ahead of him in that sense. And people could say Messi, but that's another question that you can answer in the YouTube comment section.
Depends, Alex. If I was from the opponent team, I would like Messi to take it.
No. I would never like a Messi or Ronaldo.
I'm just joking, man. Of course, man.
Here in the FC Wonderkid community, people often ask us what's going to happen in the Portuguese League, and it deserves more focus, the Portuguese League, with Sporting making history here. And let me ask you, Pedro, who will win the Portuguese League? And we're in September.
Alex, I don't want to be biased here, but I honestly tend to be a pessimistical guy. But this year, I think Sporting, nobody stands a chance against this Sporting side. I think Sporting is just way too strong for their opponents at the moment. Of course, things can change, but I don't see them changing. The standard is for Sporting to win at least for 3 goals. At least, not even playing brilliantly like they did yesterday against Estoril.
Gyokeres didn't score first game.
It was a standard game, man. He's not. I mean, I was gonna say he's not a machine, but he's close to it. I mean, even the standard game is super controlled. Sporting doesn't concede any chances, always creates, because if the opponents try to shut us off in the middle, Sporting always tries to find a way around it, And you could see it with the new signings, Max Yaraújo, Conor Narda. Sporting is prepared for every eventuality that the game provides.
I agree.
And by having the multitude of options that Sporting has, I think Sporting has to be the favorite. But then again, don't get me wrong, I think Benfica with Bruno Lage stands a serious chance to be contenders.
100%
We're still
victorious.
early in the league, so Benfica with Bruno Lage, we can see the players already they desire it more. You know, they run more. They have a game plan. And man, even Jorge Jesus, I don't know if you've seen it. Jorge Jesus now is training Marcos Leonardo.
He did mention that he knows the reason why he didn't succeed.
He just told the media, man. But the first time I saw Marcos Leonardo training, and that is personal, I'm not going to say what I told to him specifically, but I understood straight away. This is why Benfica doesn't win. Roger Schmidt wasn't the appropriate coach. He's not a bad coach tactically, but he doesn't get the culture. He doesn't get the football culture. He doesn't provide the intensity that a Benfica player needs, the desire to win, you know?
He did win the Portuguese league in the past, but I agree. I think he lost the locker room. This season, it was more than notorious after that game with Famalicão. But going back to who will win the Portuguese league, I think it will be Sporting from what I'm seeing this season. Yesterday, I had the chance to see the game against Estoril, Sporting Estoril here in Amoreira, and Debast. 18 long passes. Jenny Katam, man of the match. But Zeno Debast is one of the best under-23 center backs in the world of football. And then it's Debast, Diomande, Gonçalo Inácio, Rúben Amorim, what he's done. In his first game, he had Ilori, Coach, Mathieu. Now he has all these options. And Eduardo Quaresma that I didn't even mention. So Kenda, Katamu, Debast, Gonçalo Inácio, Eduardo Quaresma. This is an unreal team.
Just don't forget that the boss from Sporting's back wall is out this season. Everybody expected that.
Diomande now.
Yeah, but Sebastian Coates is captain for 8 or 9 years.
Legend. 8 years, yes.
Now, 8 years out, Sporting captain for 5, I think. Man, it's outrageous that Sporting has been doing so good in the defense after Coates came out. And it wasn't expected at all since the first match of the season, so conceding 4 goals against Porto. Everybody thought, man, without Coates, this will be a mess. But Diomande stepped up. Man, he's the guy that Sporting needs at the back.
Diomande, who would you say is better than Diomande in the under-23 center backs?
Guys, last year, or even 2 years ago, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I called that Diomande was better than Antonio Silva. I think nowadays, man, there's absolutely no debate.
Would you say Debast is better than Antonio Silva too?
Yeah. I mean, with the ball, yes. I think defending one-on-one, no. I think Debast, I mean, the beast, still has a lot to improve defending on one-on-one, but with the ball, he's unbeatable. I think Zeno Debast, with the ball on his feet, is the best center back in the Portuguese league. Not defending one-on-one. I think even the likes of Antonio Silva, for example, are better on the one-on-one.
18 long passes.
Controlling the space as well. And he needs to improve in aggressiveness, defending the box. But yeah, man.
And for the English fans that are listening us here at FC Wonderkid, giving context, Sporting has kept 6 clean sheets in a row. Frank Israel this season, the goalkeeper that's replacing Kovacevic, he hasn't even suffered 1 goal. And there's the spirits of, I want to defend camaraderie, you know? They're helping each other. Diomande, Debast, there's a good team spirit in that team, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, they just stick out for each other, and that's good to see. And don't forget, man, you still have the likes of Eduardo Quaresma, who's with the ball in transition, he's really, really spot on, man. He's really, really good.
What a game
and even
with
defending one-on-one against fast wingers, he's the player. If Sporting plays against teams that have super quick wingers, I think Eduardo Quaresma is the choice to go on that right spot on the 3 center-back line.
And Sporting this season, if Sporting wins the league, it will be the second consecutive title, and that hasn't happened in the history of the club in 70 years. Rúben Amorim has been 4 years at the club. He's won the league twice, and in the Champions League, we can say Sporting have a real chance to have their best Champions League campaign this season. Viktor Gyökeres, Rúben Amorim, Martin Huilman is an unreal captain in his 2nd season. He's a leader, and we all expecting big things with Conrad Harder, Debast, and financially. Sporting financially sells a Mateus Fernandes, a Fataouf for 30 million. These are 2 players that didn't play for Sporting's first team last season.
Even Paulinho was a good sale as well. I think it was the only opportunity Sporting had to make some money out of this player, because Paulinho is good, don't get me wrong. When he was turning 31 or 32, it was the last chance Sporting had to sell him by a decent amount.
Completely.
And I think all the decisions in the market made sense, man. And even Sporting is betting a lot on the Northern European market, which is quite interesting. If you take a look at the Northern European market, it's really booming. You see the players that have been coming out.
Too. Ban Sheldrup.
You've been witnessing players that have been coming out from Denmark, Norway, Sweden in the last couple of years. Amazing players, super cheap players. So just like Premier League teams are paying attention to the Portuguese market, now the Portuguese market is subsequently paying attention to the Nordish market. It's like the Portuguese market is just a transition for players to prove themselves and then give the big jump. You see the likes of Orsnes, Viktor Gyökeres, Morten Hjulman, now Konrad Arder, man, making such a big development, and it's so good to see. Because Alex,
it used to be South America for us. We saw that a lot in the past,
but
and now the
Northern. But it's interesting because I think the markets to explore evolve as football evolves as well. Nowadays, football is much more physical.
Global.
It's much more tactical, And if you wanted desire, technical ability, you would go to South America. But now, as football is becoming more physical, more tactical, you take a look at the Northern European example, man. And it's amazing how the Portuguese league is being able to be the market that transitions these young gems into potential world-class players.
Very well said. Konrad Harder and Viktor Gyökeres are true examples of what you just said. Phenomenal statement, Carvalho. And I'm going to say, English pundits, you have been warned. English pundits, you have been warned. Sporting is here to make history in the Champions League. Arsenal and City will have a tough time facing this Rúben Amorim team that is ready to make something shocking for English fans.
And it will be, I think this is not consensual, but I think it will be especially hard for Manchester City at
Arsenal.
Sporting.
I think Arsenal will. Arsenal lost
to
a Sporting team.
I think
that Arsenal, is worse than this one.
Arsenal definitely won't win at José Alvalade. Arsenal won't win.
And with no Odegaard, definitely no.
This is a bold statement, but Arsenal won't get away with 3 points at Stadio José Alvalade. I'm certain of it, man. Record this.
And City without Rodri will have a tough time.
That's what I was telling you, because Rodri in the Manchester City squad is an unreplaceable player. The closest you can get is playing Gvardiol at the left back and putting him in the midfield to kind of simulate what Rodri does.
But would you say that Morten Hjulman and Gyokeres are also irreplaceable players at Sporting? And they have the luxury of having them.
I'll tell you one thing. Viktor Gyökeres, in my opinion, is the best striker in world football currently.
Well, let me do the exercise, Pedro. Let me do the exercise.
Okay. Go
because last time this went extremely bold, and we need an update because now the world knows when we do this, it's Viktor Gyökeres. EAFC, it's embarrassing not to have the celebration of one of the best strikers in football.
Alex, I'm just going to say, nobody cared about who I was until I put on a mask. Spain said it, Gyokeres copied it, and now the world knows about it.
Pedro is going bold and saying just that too.
It's amazing. He has everything to be an icon. And we'll go, I think I'll just explain myself after your question, because I think there will be a follow-up. Yeah.
Pedro, you can only talk when you hear a striker better than Viktor Gyökeres. Update 2.0.
Go ahead.
So here, Rasmus Winter Højlund, Alexander Isaac, Solanke, 75 million. Oh my days. Julian Alvarez, Dusan Vlahovic, Darwin Nunes, Lautaro Martinez, Harry Kane, and last one, Erling Haaland. Mate, you're saying that Erling Haaland is not better than Viktor Gyökeres?
I am, Alex. And I know it's a bold statement, but you'll see, and I'll explain to you why. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want to see a poacher, Haaland is the best in the world. And I have no doubts about that. Inside the box, he's the best in the world.
Look, I'm very curious to see Erling Haaland now with no Rodri and no Kevin De Bruyne. Now's the time he's got to grab that position.
Haaland is the best poacher in the world. I'll give you that. He has great positioning, strength, finishing. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But Gyokeres just gives you one thing that, in my opinion, no other striker in the world provides it, which is he can play whichever role that he wants. You can tell him, okay, Victor, you're going to play with your back face towards the goal. He will do it. You'll play searching for the space. He will do it. You will pick up the ball and open some gaps. He will do it. He does absolutely everything. He withstands the charge of super huge center backs. And we'll see that there's going to be some interesting matchups against Arsenal and Man City, which I'm really...
Saliba versus Viktor Gyökeres.
It's going to be And that's
Joško Gvardiol versus Viktor Gyökeres.
those are going to be the matches that prove what I'm saying, that Viktor Gyökeres belongs in another level. And don't get me wrong, Sporting fans, I think that Sporting...
History.
Yeah.
Keeping him is historic.
Man, and some people tell me about his age, but look at Didier Drogba. At what time did he do the step up for Chelsea? He was 26 at the time, I believe.
Jose Mourinho. Milito.
When Mourinho just told the Chelsea board, guys, just get me this guy.
Just get me Milito to Inter. It worked out.
Man, that's true. And I'm positive that if Mourinho was currently in a squad that was able to purchase, in a team that was able to purchase Viktor Gyökeres, it will be his first signing. Man, it will be his first signing. I have no doubt.
So, after this, I want to just state this, okay? Viktor Gyökeres currently, for me, is a top 5 striker in the world of football in form. Why is that? Because he's in the right culture, he's in the right team, and he's coached by one of the best up-and-coming managers in the world of football with Rúben Amorim. English fans, every top team in England that is not successful right now with a manager, their first option 100% should be Rúben Amorim after this season, which he is ready, I'm going to state again, to make history with this team. Sporting have the best manager in the league, the best player in the league, the best talent in the league, if we say Giovanni Kenda, the best defense in the league with only 3 goals suffered. Yes, Gyokeres is at Porto, best goalkeeper, but overall, this is unreal. And
the thing is, Sporting doesn't even need a decent goalkeeper, man. The ball doesn't...
Israel's been good, though.
I like it. I rate him. I even rate him higher than Kovacevic, to be honest.
So if I ask you, Pedro, Sporting against Arsenal, result?
Draw.
Sporting Man City?
I think it's going to be a close one, but Man City will take the...
But Sporting will 100% go through to the next stage. Playoffs or top 8? How hopeful are you?
I mean, I truly believe that top 8 is possible because other than the match against City and Arsenal, I believe... I know Sporting has Leipzig away, which is very, very tough.
Tricky.
Really tough one. But I believe Sporting will come out on top of every single match except the one against Man City and Arsenal. I believe that
even
a top 8 spot is possible. And guys, I really don't see... The only teams that can... maybe make this Sporting team tremble is, I would say it's Real Madrid, Manchester City, Barcelona, Arsenal, maybe Inter Milan. The other ones, I think the Sporting has the edge. And just stick with me on this one.
Yes.
We go on every sector, and you said it yourself. You have in my opinion, you have world-class players in every sector of Sporting squad.
World-class? No.
You have world-class
Great players.
You have... Okay, and soon to be world-class, in my opinion. To be developed...
For me, world-class...
Zeno de Bas is able to be world-class. Both Zeno de Bas, Diomande, and Gonçalo Inácio, the 3 of them are able to be world-class.
In terms of ball distribution, best center-backs in the world, they definitely have that target.
You have Morten Hjulmand, which, in my opinion, could play a role in any squad in the world. I'm not saying starter, but he could definitely play a role.
No, Rodri, Hjulmand is a player that
Morten Hjulmand could play a role in any team in the world.
Better than Calvin Phillips.
We've seen it in this last Euros, man. He stepped up against England. Wonder goal, man, Morten Hjulmand. Because he has everything. He's he could be a perfect box-to-box midfielder. He could be a great number 6. Even taking the ball and playing it close
There's a reason why he's
to the opponent's
his
box.
second season. So
it's amazing. He was captain in Lecce. Man, Morten Hjulmand, before he came to Sporting 2 seasons ago, he was the player with the most successful tackles in Serie A. And that just says all, with 22 years old at the time, that just says all about, all you need to know about Morten Hjulmand. He came to Sporting, stepped up, captain in the second year, following the footsteps of Sebastian Coates. I think he's a great leader, man. He's a natural-born leader, Morten Hjulmand.
I agree. And my last statement on Sporting, because we did mention Champions League, and the listeners deserve it, I want to state this. Rúben Amorim has elevated the game in the Portuguese league. I want to state this. Viktor Gyökeres, before he was a Sporting, he was not a key player in the Swedish national team. He is right now. We can say the same for Morten Hjulmand, for Morita. Diomande will get there, and De Bas surely will improve massively this season. Trincão is a player that we can
listen,
state
if we're looking at the future, even let's see what role is Conrad Harder gonna play in the Denmark national team from now on.
I really believe he can be a player with high potential that, who knows, one day leaving Sporting for 80, 90, 100 million. He's 19 years old. That's the reason that big clubs didn't pay for Gyokeres maybe this summer, but let's see in January. Let us know your thoughts about everything we said here in the Champions League with Sporting. And yes, you mentioned, Pedro, Champions League opponents. You want to mention one more thing on Sporting?
Yeah, I would like to ask you, what are your predictions for Sporting's Champions League? If you had to say one
I
stage.
think Sporting surely will finish in the playoffs.
Yeah, the 24 first places. Yeah.
Sporting in the league phase of the Champions League. Surely, minimal expectations. Playoffs, I loved what I saw against Lille. I went to the stadium to see that match. And top 8 is, I agree, feasible too, to think of that possibility. Because, as we just said, Viktor Gyökeres is there, Rúben Amorim is there. A lot of positive aspects in this team.
If you had to say one stage, what would be your final word on Sporting in the Champions League?
I'd say, depending on who they get in like the round of 16 and the quarters, I'd say quarterfinals is a realistic thought. When I think of this team of Ajax, with Erik ten Hag in the past, with a Frankie de Jong, with a Matthias de Ligt, great players that made history, I see the Sporting team. I see a Gonçalo Inácio that's played more than 150 games for this team. I see a Viktor Gyökeres that's one of the best players I've ever seen at Sporting. I see a Martin Ullmann, a pot that is madly underrated.
Francisco Trincão, man.
Francisco Trincão that now has one of the best personal trainers in the world of football, Francisco Martins. Shout out to him. And you're going to be a guest here in the podcast. I'm just going to mention just that. Lamine Yamal is now with him, okay? So big shout out to him. Great personal trainer. And,
and talking about Francisco Trincão, we're talking about a player who triggered the Barca scout when he was at Braga. So
true.
Francisco Trincão has the potential to be an elite player, and I still believe that he's gonna reach amazing heights throughout his career.
Great to mention just that. And Pedro, since we mentioned now Trincão, Barcelona, we can go here to La Liga just a bit here in episode 1 because some of the listeners watch Real Madrid and Barca week in, week out, just like us. And I wanted to say, Hansi Flick, I'm very surprised from the immediate impact he's had as a manager. Hansi Flick is the right manager for this team, and I think it's realistic to say at the end of this season, winning La Liga and having a Champions League campaign that he's minimal in the quarterfinals, he will be perceived once again as a world-class manager.
I think he was just the right choice to rebuild Barcelona. I think even if you look at his stats, I saw this the other day, and I was quite
7 games,
and I was quite amazed. Yeah, and if you look at the Champions League, I mean, I know that Barcelona
was at fault.
You know, this was the first. I know that now there's not the group stage anymore; it's a league stage. But it was if you consider it as a group stage, it was the first match in Hansi Flick's career that he lost in a league/group stage match.
Was it?
What it was
in a European level? Sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I was quite. And of course, you had the red card as well. I mean,
Ter Stegen was very at fault in that game at Monaco. Erik Garcia red card, yes. But mentioning what you said with Hansi Flick, this is one of the best league starts in Barca history in La Liga. Hansi Flick has had a massive impact for that to happen. And look at the injury list. Frankie de Jong, Gavi, Dani Olmo. We're watching the Chelsea game at the same time, people, okay? So some reactions can come right there. And so you see those injuries. Now Ter Stegen, Christensen too's also injured. Fermin Lopez, that was a great player in the Olympics too for Spain. And he still gets results. 7 games, 7 wins. Hansi Flick will be one of the best starts. And Lamine Yamal currently is the best right winger in football. I challenge anyone in the internet to mention me one right winger that's better than Lamine Yamal currently in football. Is it Saka? Is it Mo Salah? I wouldn't pick anyone. Rodrigo? Real Madrid fans, they can say Rodrigo, but I wonon't say that because Lamine Yamal for me is the best.
Yeah, you can say at least that he's the most valuable for sure, considering his age. And in my opinion, yeah, he's the best.
Irreplaceable.
He's
completely.
the best. He's the best under 21 talent in the world.
Florentino,
even though he's only 17, I'll put him.
Barcelona have to treat Lamine Yamal as the most expensive commodity in football. If Mbappe comes here for a swap with Lamine, say no. If Rodrigo comes, say no. If Vini, that's going to win a Ballon d'Or, comes, well, Vini is 7 years older. And Vini for Brazil is not what's Lamine for Spain. That is a fact. He's won the Euros already at the age of 17. Just became 17.
Let me ask you, Alex. Do you think Yamal is the guy to step up and take the torch as new Barca's Messi? Yeah, you think he's up for the legacy?
Look, I think he's the closest player in terms of talent that we've seen next to Neymar to be in the Messi potential, yes. Lamine Yamal, the responsibility that he already has for his national team and for Barca I haven't seen this. I have never seen a 17-year-old with so much responsibility and expectation already.
What amazes me is it's his effectiveness, because usually even players that have some flair at 17 years old, they're not that efficient, They're not that prolific. Man, and you see the maturity with which Lamine Yamal plays, and it seems like he's been doing this for years, man. It's crazy. Even Cristiano Ronaldo gave a shout-out to Lamine Yamal. And we all know that Cristiano... Oh my God!
Great. Oh, this was great from Brighton. Close goal from Nicholas Jackson. But keep going with that.
Man, and when you see a player like Cristiano Ronaldo who really has... I won't say struggles, but he doesn't just shout out just because, He even criticizes newer generations. And when you have a character like Cristiano Ronaldo stepping up and shouting out Lamine Yamal... Man, it's crazy because even the players that look up to him at Man United, he doesn't praise them a lot. Even Garnacho and everything, he didn't praise them a lot. The only youngster he praised at Man United was Diogo Dalot, and that's the only thing we've heard about Cristiano Ronaldo. So he's stepping up and saying Lamine Yamal will be in the top for the next couple of years. It's amazing.
Imagine if Barca didn't have Lamine Yamal currently. When they see this Real Madrid super team being assembled, they would be quaking their boots. And now realistically, you can say that in the future, in 2-3 years time, we can have a Barca with a Lamine, and on the other side, Nico Williams. If it happens, it would be a great choice for Barca, but Lamine is certainly one of the options. And let's see who's the next striker after Lewandowski at Barcelona, because Lewandowski is one of the best strikers ever in football. Hansi Flick even said Lewandowski is the best striker in football in the last 10 years. I disagree with Hansi Flick. I disagree. Luis Suarez, best striker in the last 10 years in football.
I agree. I agree with you, Alex. At Barcelona for sure, he's in this century is probably the best striker, pure striker. So not considering Messi, of course, that played for Barcelona. I would say even
false nine Messi, yes.
Yeah, and we're talking about one of the best duos of all time, trios of all time in world football. In my opinion, the second best. No trio beats the BBC, but it's a close call either way.
Gareth Bale, you said, is better than Neymar in your opinion?
Yeah, no, I mean not in terms of flair, but in terms of what he brought to the game. I think so. I think he had more impact, even in the national team.
Champions League.
The importance Gareth Bale had for Wales, man. You cannot write.
But Brazil Brazil, Neymar too was extremely important.
But
that's another conversation.
But Brazil is used to having legends. Like every generation, there's a new legend for Brazil. Even now, you have coming up Vinicius, Hendrik.
True. But Bobby. But remaining in this topic here, that makes total sense. Yes, with Lamine, with everything. Imagine, as I said, that Lamine wasn't at Barca and other players too. And something really positive I wanted to say here in the FC Wonderkid podcast about Hansi Flick. It's against Getafe. There were 14 players in the squad. There are 21 or under. Okay, so 14 players. Something that I was obviously very positive about Xavi, saying he trusts La Masia, he trusts the youth. Hansi Flick also trusts the youth, and he's having now a Lamine Yamal at the best form.
Barcelona doesn't have any choice.
Rafinha is in top form. He has to equal the output of Lamine Yamal, a 17-year-old, if he wants to stay a Blaugrana in the next 2 to 3 years. But yes, Real Madrid fans, the Madridistas must be when are you going to talk about Real?
To mention your take, it's extremely important that Barca does so. Financially, it just makes sense for them, And they wouldn't be able to get a player with the quality of Lamine Yamal just by going out in the market. And it will be impossible, man. Exactly. It's impossible to replicate. Even the striker, you can talk about strikers with the likes of Viktor Gyökeres, Seško as well. They're not going to be able to buy a striker like that in the coming years financially, because nowadays, and the clubs that are financially comfortable, Sporting will not sell Viktor Gyökeres for less than 100 million.
I agree with what you said there.
If a club doesn't step forward and say, there's 100 million, I beat the clause.
So mentioning what you said, strikers, La Liga, but their contenders did just that, Pedro. Hendrik, how much was Hendrik? More than 60 million. And mentioning just that, how are you feeling with Real Madrid this season, Pedro?
To be honest, Alex, I'm not too confident.
Why? You got Mbappe now at Real Madrid.
Yeah, the thing is, you need to stop when it's becoming too much. And it's good when you have one or two big personalities in the locker room.
Okay.
When you have 4 or 5, it starts to become a bit harder. And you've seen the big Galacticos at Real Madrid.
Okay.
They were short of expectations back with David Beckham, Figo, Ronaldo Nazario. They won a couple of trophies, but they weren't as good as people expected. They didn't lift the Champions League, you know? So that's what I'm telling you. When you have too many egos, never works out. Maybe in La Liga when everything's going fine and you have 1 or 2 penalties per match, or you can even things out and balance things. But when it comes to the Champions League, to the big matches, I think there's going to be some controversy in between Vinicius and Mbappe. Because if Vinicius wins the Ballon d'Or this year, man, Mbappe will be fuming to win it next year.
He has to win it next year.
Yeah, exactly. And he wants to. He will want to prove himself.
But Vini deserves to win that Champions League. Best player in the Champions League last season.
I think that the personalities will play an important role in this Real Madrid squad more than the collective side. And that's not going to be positive. And you've seen last year, 5 years ago in Real Madrid, maybe 6 or 7, you had a great squad, man. But there was a hierarchy. There was a hierarchy. You had Cristiano Ronaldo,
and even with Benzema,
Bale, then you had the likes of Modric, even back then with Mesut Ozil, which is a super underrated player, one of the best midfielders I've seen play.
And when Ronaldo leaves, there's a hierarchy too. When Benzema wins this Ballon d'Or, in the unreal Champions League campaign that a Fede Valverde, that a Vinicius Junior, that a Rodrigo, all learned from the same bottle.
Man, everybody knew their place at that Real Madrid squad. If you go and ask Jude Bellingham, who's the star of this Real Madrid squad?
So who's the guy at Real Madrid?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I would say Jude Bellingham, but
100 goal involvements at the age of 21, legend of Birmingham, legend of Dortmund, legend of Real.
For me, I said Lamine Yamal is the best under 21 player in the world for me. Second is Jude Bellingham. And third, Musiala. In my opinion, this is the top 3 under 21.
21 and under.
Under 21. Man, Florian Wirtz, don't get me wrong, he was unbelievable, but I will want to see what he achieves this season.
I like that.
I want to see Bayer Leverkusen opposing Bayern. And we'll see today. True. There's a matchup today, interesting matchup.
We're going to watch the match
against
together,
Leverkusen, yeah. I want to see what he can do consistently. And of course, Jude Bellingham is young, but we've seen him produce amazing football consistently over at Birmingham, Dortmund, Real Madrid. I want to see Florian Wirtz even step up, maybe leaving for a Premier League club. Who knows?
I think Florian Wirtz it's going to be his last season at Bayer Leverkusen.
Look, Cole Palmer for the 5th. Oh my God, man!
You see, watching a game, Cole Palmer. Always.
Could you believe a Manita, man? It would be crazy, right? 5 goals, man. It would be
that's
deadly.
Unreal. That's like
just shutting up the penalty merchant critics, man.
He scores them. That's what
but I think it was offside either way.
Okay. But mentioning with Real Madrid, I wanted to really mention in the FC Wonderkid podcast. I was kind of like I miss talking about Real Madrid, and this I was thinking, how many years? I've been 3 years talking about the possibility of Mbappe going to Real Madrid. Now it happens. So, like, for me personally, I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see Mbappe at Real Madrid. But the context, I'm with you.
And I believe it's gonna be. This move is super important for PSG. Of course, not financially, but I feel that
too, also.
PSG this year has more chances to win the Champions League than they did last year.
Bold statement. Barcola, João Neves, Vitinha, they're stepping up this season.
Man, João Neves, first 5 games, 5 assists. Yeah, that's crazy.
And Barcola, 6 games in Liga, 6 goals. Great player. One of the best wingers in football currently, Barcola. But with Real Madrid, Ancelotti.
Vitinha, man.
It could be his last dance too this season, Ancelotti. And yes, overall with Real Madrid, I look at Real Madrid, I look at Barca, and currently I prefer to watch Hansi Flick's Barcelona with Lamine Yamal. But who knows, in the next 2-3 months, this team could be looking different and playing much better. You
believe this is Ancelotti's last dance at Real Madrid?
I think it's Ancelotti's last year at Real Madrid.
Who comes next? Zidane again?
I think Raúl is a high contender, or Xabi Alonso, yes. Xabi Alonso.
You don't feel like Zidane's going to come back?
No, I think, look.
Because one thing that Zidane has,
Mbappe.
He's a good, I mean, tactically he's not the best, but he's a good coach to set the hierarchy.
Because he'll put Kylian Mbappe number 1, Zidane. Completely. I understand where you're coming from in that sense.
And now I was mentioning
but
the hierarchy.
You could lose Rodrigo or Vini,
if you ask any player at the Real Madrid squad who's the star of this team, they will all have different answers.
They'll say Vinicius Junior. They'll say Vinicius Junior, Pedro.
Yeah, and do you think Mbappe would like to hear that?
I think
Or even Jude Bellingham.
I understand.
This is
where
the
you're
new
coming.
Galacticos era.
I think Jude Bellingham realizes that in order for him to be a legend at Real Madrid one day, you'll have to have better players than him in other different possessions. Vini and Mbappe are two examples of that.
Man, this is an ego squad in my opinion,
but-
and I don't see a bright short-term future for this.
But let me
Real
do
Madrid
here a
squad,
challenge
I might be
with
wrong.
you. With Real Madrid, with Barca. Let me do a challenge with you. Top 5 managers in football currently. It's something that I wanted to state. I have a lot of Arsenal fans that are friends of mine. And look, Arteta is for sure not a top 5 manager in the world of football. Number 1, I put Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Number 2, Ancelotti. Number 3, I'd put Klopp, even though he's unemployed currently. Number 4, Xabi Alonso. I really think what he's doing with Bayer Leverkusen will be in the history books of football. First league win of the club history. And 5th, I'd put or Rúben Amorim, Inzaghi, but Arteta, Arsenal fans.
And it will be interesting. Thiago Motta had a nice start this season.
So
as
you'd
well.
put Rúben Amorim ahead of Arteta?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
In the best managers talk?
Definitely, Alex.
Why definitely?
Because, I mean, Rúben Amorim, first of all, other than being a great manager tactically, he's a great people manager. Man. And nowadays, and you ask
He
me,
convinced Gyokeres to go to the team.
the thing, you ask me, why do some managers become outdated? And I feel that personalities change over time.
True.
Even the mentality changes over time, you know.
True.
I feel like, generally in the world, speaking, hierarchy is mattering less because people don't like to feel that they're being bossed around, and I feel like they need a friend. Of course, there needs to be some level of steepness.
Guardiola is a control
I know.
freak. Arteta is a
But
control freak.
Guardiola is just another level. I mean, he's a football genius. He's the best manager ever.
Arteta
in
can
the
never be on another level in the managers talk. He could.
He could. He's still young. I mean, for a manager, I believe that he
But
can
from-
improve, and you've seen Arteta improving since he joined Arsenal. He's
But
been
from
improving
what
a lot.
you've seen as a manager, you think Rúben is a better manager than Arteta?
He's a better manager. He's a better people manager. He's a better communicator than Arteta as well.
Ooh, that'll be
And-
interesting. If
Man,
he ever goes
nowadays,
to-
nowadays, when you have media always blowing up in your face, basically, you open up your phone.
the
You,
bad questions.
Man, you need a good communicator, somebody who is able to control the locker room without giving up too much. You know,
And when Sporting
for
finished
media.
4th, that was a time that a lot of tough questions were happening. And Sporting and Rúben Amorim, they had a plan, they had an execution.
he stick to it.
And they
He was
did
not.
it.
He didn't break a sweat, man. That's what I liked about Rúben Amorim. Yeah, I mean, he's not a stubborn. Usually, coaches, every good manager is stubborn or has like a bit of stubbornness. Because if you're not stubborn, you're not gonna go anywhere in the world. Like, and that's true.
You need a knock on doors.
The most
yes.
successful people are always stubborn. And I think Rúben Amorim has that stubbornness, but he doesn't let his ego affect it. You know, once he realizes he's wrong.
39 years old.
Look at Ricardo's guy, for example. Once he realized he was wrong, okay, this won't do for next
Paulinho.
season. This, yeah, okay, he loved Paulinho, but okay, he's getting old. He sees things
He's a
so
pragmatical.
clearly, you know. He sees things transparently, and that's rare in football because when the manager has a certain idea, he usually just sticks to it through thick and thin. And Rúben Amorim realizes when he's wrong, and he does the changes. He's not afraid. Okay, maybe last year I was wrong. When Sporting was in the 4th place, he said, "We don't need a striker.
Great
We're
judgment.
good." Next year, Sporting was in the
I
4th
agree.
position. We need a striker. They bought Viktor Gyökeres, 1st place. This year, same.
Great judgment. Great judgment of the position that he's in, Rúben Amorim, in every situation in life in the last 4 years at Sporting. But sticking to what we're talking here with the best managers, this Rúben Amorim, the listeners that like Rúben Amorim in this first podcast, well, if Rúben Amorim becomes the best manager in the world of football, this certainly has to be the #1 podcast in the world of football too, because we're talking so big about Rúben Amorim that deserves that. There was a time that Nuno Mendes was unknown. We helped him become known. Palhinha too. Rúben Amorim is the same because he deserves the credit to
Man,
be
and
at the
we've
top
been
of
talking
football.
about Viktor Gyökeres for some time now.
For
And
more than 1 year,
let me tell you,
definitely.
it's a definite shame that Viktor Gyökeres is not at least in the top 30 for Ballon d'Or. At least in the top
Top 30 of the Ballon d'Or.
At least
Rodrigo,
top
I
30.
agree, is a
Man,
shame.
You have a player that in 58 matches scores 54 goals and provides 17 assists. And we've seen every big match he steps up against Porto, against Benfica. In the Champions League, first match, I think he scored an assist.
But I think it's because he didn't play in the Champions League and didn't play in the Euros. That's why.
I think that's the reason why. But if he keeps playing like this and he's not in the Ballon d'Or list next year, man.
Drop the mic. It cannot happen.
It cannot happen.
FIFA. No, not FIFA.
It's shame, man. It's because I think people tend to underlook some smaller
the Portuguese
teams.
League.
Some smaller teams in the European context. Imagine, even if Gyokeres, imagine, I know you don't agree with me, but let's suppose that Viktor Gyökeres is the best striker in the world, which for me it is. He's playing, just because he's playing in the Portuguese League, he's not going to be considered.
You think he goes to Arsenal in January, he makes them title winners?
As soon... I wouldn't. It's tough to predict, man. It's the Premier League. You never
There's
know.
no Rodri.
But yeah, and you know what? Man City's win rate without Rodri is 62%. With Rodri, I think it's close to 90%.
And Arsenal needs goals. And Arsenal needs goals.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's the target man they're missing. And you know a fun fact? Out of, I think it's 54 goals that Viktor Gyökeres scored for Sporting. By the way, 6th best goal scorer ever in Sporting's history.
Already.
Viktor Gyökeres. Already in one season and a half.
Not even a half.
Yeah, one season and one quarter. What was I saying? Sorry.
Saying just how amazing Gyokeres is in one season and a half. Already 6th in the best.
But before I don't remember. But man, yeah, he's just a guy.
But mentioning now Premier League in this part of the podcast, please like this video in the first episode here of the FC Wonderkid Podcast.
Oh yeah,
season 2. This is being so bold. We got it. Yes.
Just sorry, I just remembered what I was gonna say. Out of all the, and just mentioning why Arsenal needs this player. In my opinion, needs to buy Gyokeres. In my opinion, is the type of football he will fit in best in the Premier League, and I think it's where he's most needed, to be honest.
With
because even at United, you have Højlund, of course. Viktor Gyökeres is another level, but just let me.
But would Viktor Gyökeres be the Erling Haaland of Guardiola for Arteta?
No, I don't have it. I absolutely no doubt, man.
No doubt?
No doubt. Viktor Gyökeres will be the guy, man. Will be the guy. You know, in my opinion, it will be interesting, the matchup of Sporting against City, because I would like to see how both players behave and compare them in the same environment, Gyokeres and Haaland. And you can say, okay, Gyokeres plays in the Portuguese League. Fine.
No.
Haaland plays in the Premier League, and he's playing in the best side in the Premier League. So, I feel the difference in between Man City and, for example, Brentford is bigger. The
difference
is
bigger,
than for like Sporting and Estoril, in my opinion. So it's I think it's easier for Haaland than it is for Viktor.
I don't know if I agree with that statement.
But it's similar. But it's not that so different. But let me just say one thing: why Arsenal needs this player. Out of all 54 goals Viktor Gyökeres scored for Sporting, all of them were inside the box. All of them. And we're talking about a player who can still take long shots and perform outside the box and take the ball running on the wing, but he's just so prolific in the box, and Arsenal needs that player, man. That doesn't miss the one-on-one.
I like what you're mentioning with Arsenal, because Arsenal needs a Viktor Gyökeres because they need goals. Only Havertz, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli are the players that can provide more than 10 to 15 goals in the Premier League.
And
for
Trossard
Arsenal.
is an amazing finisher, don't get me wrong.
So they need a striker desperately. Gabriel Jesus ain't that player, but talking positively about Arsenal. Arsenal, in my opinion, in football currently have the best center-back duo. And Calafiori, he should have started since day one. Calafiori is the most similar player to go against the Joško Gvardiol in that fullback position / center-back. Modern day football, Arteta and Guardiola's magic that they're doing in football. So yes, it's absolutely
One's
a story.
doing the magic, the other is a copycat.
Nico Jackson, that was close.
One's doing the magic, the other is a copycat.
But and Saka too. Do you consider Saka you consider Saka the best player at Arsenal? First things first.
That's a tough one, but I would say so. Yeah, I mean, and I think especially he's been the most important player in the Arteta era, for sure. And I think Arteta wants him to have that burden, to be the main star.
And we have to praise with Arteta. Saka's now there. Saliba's now there. Odegaard's now there. They were not finished players.
Declan Rice, man.
Declan Rice, I think, comes with that already developed. But the rest, they developed with Mikel Arteta in this sense. So, Mikel Arteta, 4 years, no title. Now's the time with Rodri injured, with Kevin De Bruyne injured. It's the time to Erling Haaland to say, I'm going to win a Ballon d'Or and be the best player in the world because I made it happen without De Bruyne, without Rodri. It could happen too. because City are contenders to win the Premier League and Champions League, even though with these injuries with Pep Guardiola. But Arsenal, the time is now to win the Premier League. They didn't have Saliba in the past because of injury. Now they don't have Odegaard, yes, but considering the injuries, the situation, I think pressure is on Arsenal. Is there a chance? A bold statement, Pedro, because when we talk here Premier League winners, we only think about City and Arsenal currently, but it's still September. Could a Chelsea surprise the world and go for a title contender?
Alex, I've been quite surprised with Maresca's work. Even the games that Chelsea wasn't able to win, you see something there. You see a game plan. And of course, now, what a goal, man. Cucurella!
Cucurella!
Man, this guy.
Loves paella. Come on. So great timing to mention.
Yeah, exactly. Great timing
to
mention.
Can Chelsea win the Premier League title in the next 2 years?
So. Next 2 years, maybe. This year, definitely not.
Do you think Enzo Maresca can win a Premier League title with Chelsea?
Yeah, I can see that, man. He absolutely, you can tell he learned from Pep. I think offensively Chelsea's there.
And if he does win, Arteta's going to be very looked like. You've been 4 years at Arsenal. Maresca in 2 years wins it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the odds are not in his favor, I would say. But it's possible. You can tell that offensively, Chelsea's getting there, which I think they lacked a lot last season. They were not producing enough offensively. In my opinion, they still need to improve a lot in the back, be more consistent. For example, like City doesn't concede many chances to their opponents. And I think Chelsea, to be a definite contender, will need to improve in that chapter.
Completely. If there's one side of this Chelsea squad that they have to improve, is in the defense, but not with Cucurella, not with Levi Colville, two players that I see a future at Chelsea, and even Malo Gusto. But where's Reece James? Where's Reece James, one of the leaders of this squad? There was a time that people would say Reece James is better. Gnat Vega, the future of Portugal. Love to see. Jadon Sancho too, he's leaving.
Sporting Academy.
Jadon Sancho is a clear example of the problem that is currently at Man United and not at Chelsea. This is a player that will improve a lot with Maresca, Cole Palmer, Sancho behind Jackson. I look at Chelsea and I start to see a team that can score a goal every single game with every single opponent. And that's something special in football.
When you have in your ranks a player with the quality of Sancho, it's just a shame.
In the right system.
But it's just a shame that you wasted like United did, in my opinion. Because you don't have that many good options in United to
But let me just ask you this before we go to the Man United topic, which is one of our last in this podcast. Thank you so much, people, for listening until now here. Do you consider David Raya the best goalkeeper in the world of football currently, Pedro?
No.
Ooh, who is it?
I mean, Alex,
there's only one answer.
You have
Thibaut Courtois.
Yeah, you have Thibaut Courtois, even though he was injured for a lot of time. But I still believe that Thibaut Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world. Man, David Raya, that double save was just for the penalty that kept Arsenal alive in the Champions League was just outstanding, man.
Outstanding.
And I think, he gave Arteta the rights to brag about it, because many people criticized him at first when he started putting Raya in front of Ramsdale.
No. Reason to that.
But I think that nobody stands in that way anymore. I think Raya is one of... I would still say Ederson is better than David Raya.
Ooh, I put Raya ahead of Ederson.
Nah,
Courtois is the only keeper that I say confidently is better than David Raya, in my opinion, Pedro.
I don't know, man.
Even Alisson's ahead of Ederson, no?
Courtois could be better with his feet, I would say. But if Courtois had the ball playing ability of Ederson, it would be like the best. I mean, he's already one of the best goalkeepers ever.
Interesting
but I
question.
think it would be
interesting question. Okay, people, answer us down below. Who's the best goalkeeper in the world of football? And last topic, so here with Manchester United. How are you feeling, Pedro, with Man U?
Not confident, Alex, at all. And it's I have a weak spot for Man United, and it's been quite sad, actually, for me to... don't get me wrong, I think the transfer market was brilliant this year.
I think Omar Berardi, the CEO of Manchester United, will definitely make something great, but Erik ten Hag won't be there.
Yeah, I think Erik ten Hag at the moment is a scapegoat. Because there's a transitioning period at Man United, and who hired Erik ten Hag? Previous ownership.
Glazers, yes.
So if something goes wrong now, There's a rebuilding period at this moment. If something goes wrong, they just point it to the last ownership. We didn't hire Ten Hag, they did. So it's
and
not
they're
our problem.
fixing the salary structure
Alex,
in the meantime. Donny
Alex,
van de Beek, Martial, Greenwood.
Manchester United is waiting for Rúben Amorim. I'm confident. Rúben Amorim stayed this year, and I believe that's why they kept on Ten Hag. I mean, I may be going out of my reach
hope
here,
Rúben Amorim stays another year in the Portuguese league after
but
this one.
man, if you take a look at the acquisitions Man United did this year, man, Xerxes is great for the future. I mean, not for right now.
For me, the acquisition that makes sense to talk
amazing.
about this
Delete.
is Ruud van Nistelrooy. Because if there's a way of sacking Erik ten Hag in a way that you have a replacement fast, is by having an assistant coach that is Ruud van Nistelrooy. So I understand what you're saying. Erik ten Hag being a scapegoat. Why? Because it gives Omar Berrada and the people at the top of Manchester United time to fix the salary structure. If you have Rashford, Maguire, Anthony Martial, Jadon Sancho, loads of players that have a mad big salary, more than 150k weekly, and they don't have that output, that is an issue. They have to fix that in order to achieve success. So Erik ten Hag is a choice of the Glazers and not of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, so it gives him time to fix the salary structure. And who do you think would be the player that Manchester United should go to the market and they should get next summer or even in January if possible?
Man, that's a tough one. Honestly, I believe that they're...
For me, Jeremy Frimpong.
Really? You don't think Diogo Dalot would suffice?
I think Diogo Dalot is a good squad player that can play at the left and the right. I think he would realize he's useful, and for the Portuguese national team and for Man United, I think if he wants to become not a legend but a player that's you're remembered in a nice way about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but my reserves with Frimpong is that he's good in a 3 center back system. We don't know about the 2 center back system. So
and Rúben Amorim is what, Pedro?
Yeah, I mean, only if
Joking.
you believe that Man United is actually going for.
I think 3 center back system will be the way to go with the future Manchester United. But let's see.
I mean, you need a reference up front. I don't think Rashford's gonna cut it.
I think he's gonna go. Yeah.
Even Højlund is good for the future, but you need immediate.
So you don't think Joshua Xerxes or Rasmus Winter Højlund are options?
At the moment, they're not feasible options for a team that wants to be title contender. And I agree with Ronaldo. When we were talking on off before about Man United being like probably the 3rd biggest club in the world in terms of marketing and everything that involves the club. In my opinion, you need to be a contender every single year. You cannot say to your fan base that you're not going to even try. It's like Ronaldo told Rio Ferdinand, man.
True.
When you're in front of a club as United, man, you at least got to try because it's just the same in Portugal. If you're a Benfica coach and you say, oh, maybe we're not going to win this year. You always need to go for it.
What that I did say to you is Manchester United in football is for sure a top 3 brand in football.
Yeah.
And when you see Erik ten Hag, currently he's not even top 10 manager in football. So something is not leveling. So for respect of Manchester United and their fans, they need to replace the manager. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy will be an interim manager some way in this season until the summer, and the big choice will be done. Let's see who will it be. Thiago Motta would have been better this summer to be hired than having Ten Hag now.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've been talking to a lot of Man United fans, and man, the excuse is always the same. Oh, Man United was unlucky. But
injuries.
How unlucky can you be if it's like for two or three straight years? Always happening the same things, you know?
And going from Champions League to Europa League.
Man, but
without Ronaldo.
Even against Twente, you saw that Twente goal. It was miserable. The players have no reaction to ball loss. They just they leave the midfield is completely wide open.
And then Man United fans say, "Oh, Erik ten Hag trusts Kobe Mino. That's why he's playing." Come on, people. Kobe Mino would play with any manager.
Gegenpress works when the team moves as a block, and United doesn't move as a block. And when you're trying to do the Gegenpress without moving as a block, like Klopp's side did. You completely lose the midfield.
But I do believe Ten Hag was incredibly unlucky of Lenny Yoro injury. Okay, at least I'm gonna say just that. Okay, but he's not unlucky with his stats. How
unlucky can you be if week in week out you're having new injured players, man? It has to be something related to.
But one thing is for sure, Pedro. Erik ten Hag is not the right guy at Manchester United because one win in 9 games in the European leagues. That can never happen with a club with this brand of Manchester United. Higher expectations.
Do you think they'll beat Porto?
I think they won't beat Porto, no. I think they won't beat Porto. And for me, I even said it on the Portuguese podcast, Porto, for me, is an Europa League contender with this team. I really like what I'm going to see, even though they lost to Bodo Glimt too.
I don't agree. But
who will win Europa League? This can be a future topic. But who do you think will win? Just a quick answer here.
It's going to be tough, and it's obviously a bit easier to predict because there's no sharks coming from
Tottenham, Manchester United, Bilbao, Sociedad.
In my opinion, Spurs are favorites to go for the win. I mean,
Spurs gonna win a trophy.
Statistically, I believe that Porto is the favorite. Second favorite is Man United, and Tottenham
for up them.
Yeah, but I would put Tottenham in the first place because I don't see Porto with this.
We've never seen Tottenham win a title, Pedro.
The problem with Porto is that, but I believe in what's being done.
Problem with Porto, no. Let's trust Porto.
Problem with Porto is the squad depth. I don't believe they have the squad depth to compete.
Alan Varela had to play that game.
They don't have the squad depth to be competitive in both the league and Europa League. I mean, they have amazing players, don't get me wrong. They have Samu, which was unbelievable.
What a buy.
Man, he was associated with Chelsea. Samu.
Yeah, Samu was close to go to Chelsea, yes. 4 goals in his last 3 games.
Believe, in my opinion, Samu, if he had gone to Chelsea, he would have a big part this season. Maybe not starting right away, but I think he would have a great
still hadn't the chance to talk about this with the FC Wonderkid community, but the future of Spain could realistically be Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal on the other side, and in the middle, Samu. So great buy by Porto for a striker physically strong that has scored already 4 goals in his last 3 games. What a player.
For now for Spain is Morata.
True.
And
you need a replacement. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Samu is the natural replacement for Morata, and he's an amazing player. Shout out to Porto. It was a great acquisition, even though the value is involved, man.
True.
15 million euros is a bargain. His market value, I think, is around 35.
But it was 50%, and increasingly they buy more of the rights.
I know, but
something from Villas-Boas too.
Omorodian, but in this, particularly at this moment in time, what Porto needs is a viable sporting option that is feasible financially. Because Porto financially is not too healthy. And I think it's the same thing that Sporting did with Pot, with Dunsens, For now, we buy 50%. Then if all goes well, we keep on buying more until we have the full ownership of the player. And I think that's what Porto went with Villas-Boas. And Zubizarreta, man. Amazing.
Denis Goul, another player from the north of Europe that Porto said he could be good, and he cost 5 million. So let's see. And Francisco Moura, one of the best left backs.
He's so good.
In Europe, playing right now, maybe.
He's the best fullback that Porto has since Alex Telles left.
Let's see. Let's see if that will be the case.
Who do you think it's better than Francisco Moura? Zaidu is certainly not better. João Mário, even though it's an opposite side, I don't think he's better. Francisco Moura was like, man.
Great buy.
I'm a Sporting fan. I was mad about it. I was mad about Francisco Moura going to Porto.
And Benfica fans, in my opinion, too, if they see Álvaro Carreira 6 million, Francisco Moura for 5, that was a great deal. But yes, people, let us know who will win the Europa League. Will Cristiano Ronaldo have 1,000 goals scored? Who will win the Champions League? Will Sporting make history this season? Big topics here in the FC Wonderkid Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1 here with my great friend. Thank you, Pedro, for participating here in the first episode. Always. It was very bold, but you people, if you're listening until now, go bold on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. We're here to take over, people. So thank you for listening, and you got to go bold.